The drink was poisoned, and the woman who did it was sleeping in my bed. 2-second pause. That night in Lagos, 2020, I learned something most men learn too late. Silence is not weakness. It is the sharpest weapon a man can carry. Music fades and slowly. The lounge, visual, dangerous, uneasy. A private lounge in Lagos. The kind of place where the air smells like imported leather and expensive cologne. Music loud enough to hide secrets, but soft enough to let money talk. Laughter bounced off marble walls. Contracts lay on the table like loaded guns, waiting for a careless hand. And there I was, Seyi Adebayo, the man they called the silent billionaire. I raised my glass of champagne, and then I saw it. Her hand. Smooth. Steady. Graceful. My girlfriend. Amina Bello. The woman who whispered, "I love you," every morning. The woman who held my face when I was tired. The woman I trusted with everything. She didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. She switched our glasses like she had practiced it before. Right there, in front of everyone. And nobody noticed. Nobody except me. Music drops slightly. My hand froze midair. My heart didn't race. It stopped. Just long enough for one thought to crawl through my mind. If she can do this in public, what has she done in private? Kola, the rival who watched too carefully. Across the table sat Kola Danjuma, my oldest rival, the man who called me brother a little too often. He laughed loudly, but never lifted his glass first. Never. His eyes didn't look at my face. They watched reflections in the table, like a snake watching its prey. And that's when I knew something was terribly wrong. The choice, silence over chaos. I could have shouted. I could have grabbed her wrist. I could have embarrassed everyone in that room. But power doesn't scream. Power waits. So I smiled, lowered the glass gently, like it was made of glass and regret. And I said, with the warmest voice I could find, "To new beginnings." Then I set the glass down, untouched. Hard pause. And that's where this story truly begins. If you stand for justice, if you believe truth should win even when it hurts, hit the like button now, because what you're about to hear isn't just wicked. It's human, and it will make you question everyone you've ever trusted. The beginning, the woman I thought I knew. Let me take you back, not to that night, but to the day I met her. Amina Bello was not like the women who usually cross my path. She wasn't loud. She wasn't dripping in designer labels or performing confidence she didn't feel. She was quiet, almost invisible, the kind of woman who moved through rooms like smoke, there but untouchable. She came into my company as an assistant, entry level. Her resume was clean but unremarkable. Nothing about her screamed ambition. Nothing about her screamed danger. But there was something in her eyes. Kindness. Real kindness. The kind you can't fake. She stayed late when no one asked her to. She remembered my coffee order without writing it down. She asked how my mother was doing, and she meant it. And when I told her my mother had died 3 years ago, she didn't say, "I'm sorry," like everyone else. She just touched my hand and said, "Then she must be very proud of the man you became." That's when I fell. Not all at once, but slowly, like sinking into warm water. 6 months later, she wasn't just my assistant. She was my peace, my shelter from a noise, the only person in my life who didn't want something from me. Or so I thought. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that Amina didn't get that job by luck. She was recommended by a man whose name I trusted, a man I called uncle, a man who taught me everything about business and power and control. Chief Emeka Okiri. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because on that night in the lounge, I didn't know any of this yet. All I knew was that the woman I loved had just tried to poison me, or drug me, or destroy me in some way I couldn't yet name. And I had to find out why. If you've ever trusted someone completely, only to realize you didn't know them at all. If you've ever felt that sickening twist in your stomach when a mask slips, type, "I understand" in the comments. Because you're not alone. The silent investigation, watching without showing. I didn't confront her that night. I signed nothing. I drank nothing. I laughed at Cola's jokes and shook his hand firmly and told him we'd finalize everything soon. And when I left, I didn't take Amina home with me like I usually did. I told her I needed to handle something urgent. She kissed my cheek and said, "Don't work too late, baby." Her voice was soft. Her eyes were clear. If I hadn't seen what I saw, I would have believed her. But I did see it, and now I couldn't unsee it. The moment I got into my car, I called Deo Afalayan, my head of security, my oldest friend, the man who once took a bullet meant for me and never asked for thanks. Deo, I said quietly, I need you to do something, and I need you to do it without asking questions. There was a pause. Then talk to me. Run a full background check on Amina. Everything. Where she came from. Who recommended her. Who she talks to. Where her money goes. Everything. Another pause. Longer this time. Say, are you sure? I wouldn't ask if I wasn't. He sighed. Give me 72 hours. You have 48. I hung up, and for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt since I was a boy trying to survive Lagos streets with nothing but hunger and rage. Fear, not of her, but of what I might discover. That false relief, the test that almost fooled me. The next 2 days were torture. I acted normal. I smiled. I texted her good morning. I sent her flowers. I called her my love and meant it because part of me still did. But I also watched her. Every movement, every phone call, every moment she thought I wasn't looking. And she was perfect, too perfect. She never slipped, never checked her phone nervously, never avoided my eyes. She moved through our life together like nothing had changed. But something had. On the second night, I tested her. I invited a few neutral friends over for dinner at my penthouse. Nothing formal, just wine, music, laughter. And I asked Amina to handle the drinks. She smiled and said, of course, baby. I watched from across the room as she poured wine into glasses, handed them out, chatted warmly with my friends. No switching, no hesitation, no signs of guilt. She was either innocent, or she was a far better actress than I'd given her credit for. Then it hit me. She only acted when Kola was present. That meant this wasn't random. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned, targeted, calculated, and Kola was involved. But why? What could he possibly gain from drugging me at a business meeting? The contract, the trap I almost missed. That's when I went back to the contract. The one we were supposed to sign that night. The one that would merge my fintech company with his logistics empire. The one that was supposed to make us both richer. I read it again, line by line, clause by clause. And there it was, hidden in the legal language, buried under 50 pages of terms and conditions. A clause that would transfer controlling interest in my company to Kola within 30 days if the contract was signed under diminished mental capacity or undue influence. In other words, if I was drugged, if I signed while impaired, the signature would stand. The biometric authorization would be valid. And by the time I sobered up and realized what I'd done, it would be too late. I would lose everything, and Kola would own me. If you hate betrayal, if you despise people who smile in your face while sharpening knives behind your back, hit the like button. Let's punish this kind of wickedness with exposure. Let's make sure the world knows what happens when you betray trust. The real architect, someone smarter than Kola. But here's the thing. Kola wasn't smart enough to write that clause. He was ambitious, yes. Ruthless, absolutely. But he wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't a strategist. Someone else had designed this trap. Someone who knew my business inside and out. Someone who had access to my contracts, my lawyers, my inner circle. Someone I trusted. And that terrified me more than anything else. Because if Amina could betray me, if Kola could smile and plot my destruction, then who else was lying? Who else was waiting for me to fall? The balcony call, when betrayal became human. On the third night, I got my answer. I was in my study, reviewing documents, when I heard Amina's voice. She was on the balcony, speaking quietly into her phone. I moved closer, stood behind the half-open door, held my breath, and I listened. It didn't work, she whispered. Her voice was tight, strained. He didn't drink. I don't know what happened. He set it down. Silence. Then, I need more time. Please, just give me more time. Another pause. And then her voice cracked. They said they will ruin my family if I fail. My mother is sick. My brother, he's just a boy. He hasn't done anything wrong. Please, don't hurt them. I'll fix this. I promise. I'll fix this. She was crying now. Quiet, desperate sobs that made my chest tighten. Because this wasn't greed. This wasn't ambition. This was fear. Someone was blackmailing her, threatening her family, forcing her to destroy the man she claimed to love. And suddenly, I didn't know what to feel. Anger? Yes. Betrayal? Absolutely. But also pity. Because Amina wasn't the villain in this story. She was just another victim. If you've ever been forced to choose between the people you love and the person you've become, if you've ever felt trapped by circumstances beyond your control, comment, I understand. Because the world isn't always black and white. Sometimes it's just gray, and painful, and impossible. The sleepless nights, planning in darkness. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over. They said they will ruin my family. Who were they? Kola, obviously. But who else? Who had the power to threaten her family? Who had the resources to pull this off? And why me? What had I done to deserve this? By morning, I had a plan. A dangerous one. A stupid one, maybe. But it was the only way to draw them out. I called Kola. Brother, I said warmly, I've been thinking. You're right. This merger is exactly what we need. Let's do it. Tomorrow night. Same place. Same celebration. And this time, I'm ready to sign. There was a pause on the other end. Then Kola laughed, loud, satisfied, victorious. Say, my brother, I knew you'd see reason. Tomorrow night, then, we'll make history. Yes, I said softly. We will. I hung up, and then I told Amina the same thing. Tomorrow night, we're signing the deal. Big celebration. I want you there with me. You're my good luck charm, remember? She looked at me with wide, frightened eyes. Are you sure about this? Of course. Why wouldn't I be? I don't know. Are you feeling okay? I'm fine, baby. Better than fine. This deal is going to change everything. She nodded slowly, but her hands were shaking. The text message, the threat that changed everything. That night, I found her in the bathroom, sitting on the floor, crying. Her phone was in her hand. A text message glowed on the screen. Tomorrow. Don't fail us again. And her reply. Please, don't do this. He's been good to me. The response came instantly. Then watch your brother suffer. I stepped back before she saw me. And I made a decision. Tomorrow night, I would end this. All of it. If you believe nobody should ever be forced into evil. If you think blackmail and threats are the weapons of cowards, hit the like button. Let's stand together for what's right. Let's make sure the people who use fear to control others are exposed. The final night, the trap within a trap. The lounge looked exactly the same. Same lights, same music, same laughter echoing off marble. Kola sat across from me, grinning like a king. Amina sat beside me, silent and pale. The contract was on the table, and the drinks were already poured. Kola raised his glass. To partnership, to brotherhood, to the future. I watched Amina from the corner of my eye. Her hand moved slowly, gracefully, practiced. She reached for my glass, and she switched it, just like before. Smooth, clean, invisible. Except this time I was ready. I lifted the glass, brought it to my lips, paused, and then I smiled. You know what? I think I like a fresh glass. Waiter. Amina's face went white. Kola's smile faltered. The waiter brought a new glass. I poured my own drink from a sealed bottle. I took a sip, and then I looked at Amina. Really looked at her. Her eyes were filled with tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. So quietly I almost didn't hear it. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. Instead, I signaled Deo. He stepped forward and placed a small recording device on the table. I pressed play. Amina's voice filled the room. He didn't drink. I need more time. They said they will ruin my family if I fail. Kola shot to his feet. Say, what is this? Sit down, I said quietly. My voice was calm, but it cut through the noise like a blade. He sat. I leaned forward. You thought you could drug me. Sign me away. Take everything I built. And you used her to do it. Kola's face twisted. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out more documents. Call logs. Bank transfers. Fake references. A paper trail that connected Amina to Kola to offshore accounts to shell companies. Everything. Security is outside, I said. You're done. The escape, when victory turned to chaos. For a moment, Kola just stared at me. And then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A real one. You think I'm the one behind this? The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then the fire alarm screamed. Chaos erupted. People ran, shouted, pushed toward exits. Someone yelled gun. And in the confusion, Kola disappeared. I stood in the empty lounge, breathing hard, staring at the space where he'd been. Deo ran up to me. He had help. Someone inside the building triggered the alarm. Someone on our side. My blood went cold. Find him, I said. I will. But say, there's something else. He handed me his phone. A message. From an unknown number. You should have drunk it. And then another. Now you're the one being watched. I looked at Amina. She was still sitting at the table, staring at her hands. Who else is involved? I asked quietly. She didn't look up. I don't know all of them. But the person who started this, the person who paid for everything, who set it all up, she finally met my eyes. It's Chief Emeka. The real betrayal, when family becomes enemy. The world stopped. Chief Emeka Okiri. My mentor. My father figure. The man who taught me everything. The man who gave me my first real chance. The man I loved like family. No, it couldn't be. But even as I thought it, I knew it was true. Because Emeka was the only one with access to everything. My contracts. My lawyers. My board. My trust. He was the only one who could have written that clause. And he was the only one who had the power to make Kola act. The man who paid my first rent. The man who stood beside me at my mother's burial. The man who called me son. He wanted to own me. Don't leave now. This is where the real enemy shows their face. This is where everything you thought you knew gets turned upside down. Stay with me, because justice is coming. The silent days, gathering evidence. I didn't go home that night. I went to Deo's safe house, locked the doors, turned off my phone, and I let the truth sink in. Emeka didn't just want my company. He wanted to own me, to control me, to make me believe I owed him everything, so that when he took it all away, I would think I deserved it. The drink wasn't meant to kill me. It was meant to cloud my judgment just enough to sign the contract, authorize the biometric scan, and hand over my life. By the time I realized what I'd done, it would be legal, binding, irreversible. And Emeka would smile and say, "You made your choice, son." For 3 days, I didn't move. I reviewed every document, every transaction, every meeting I'd ever had with Emeka. And the pattern was clear. He'd been positioning himself for this for years. Slowly, patiently, brilliantly. He introduced me to Kola. He recommended Amina. He guided every major decision I made. And all of it led here, to this moment, where I would either fight back or lose everything. The secret weapon, Amina's confession. On the 4th day, I called Amina. "I need to see you," I said. "I'll turn myself in," she whispered. "I deserve it." "Not yet. Meet me. Just you and me. No lawyers. No security. Just us." She agreed. We met in a small cafe far from the city. Neutral ground. She looked terrible. Hollow. Like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm not here to punish you," I said. She looked up surprised. "I'm here to ask you a question. And I need the truth." She nodded. "Do you have any evidence against them? Anything I can use?" She hesitated. Then she pulled out her phone. "I recorded Kola. Months ago, when he first approached me. I was scared, so I kept it. Just in case." She played the audio. Kola's voice, clear as day. "Emeka wants Sei out, but it has to look voluntary. If you help us, your family will be safe. If you refuse, well, accidents happen." I closed my eyes. "Why didn't you come to me?" "Because I was terrified," she whispered. "They knew everything about me. When my mother lived. When my brother went to school. They said if I told you, they'd hurt them. And I believed them." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I believe you." She started crying. "I'm so sorry, Sei. I never wanted to hurt you. I swear. I didn't know what else to do." "I know, and I did. Because the world isn't simple. People aren't just good or evil. Sometimes they're just scared. And fear makes you do terrible things. If you believe courage matters more than comfort. If you think standing up to power, even when you're terrified, is the most heroic thing a person can do, hit the like button. Because what Amina does next takes real guts. And it changes everything. The press conference. The public execution. I didn't waste time. I used Amina's recording. Combined it with the evidence Deo had gathered. Build a case that even the best lawyers couldn't tear apart. And then I set a trap. I announced a press conference. Major partnership announcement, the headline read. Emeka and Kola both reached out immediately. Emeka called, voice warm and fatherly. Say, my boy, I'm proud of you. This is the right move. Kola texted, see you there, brother. They thought they'd won. They thought I was broken. They thought I was theirs. They were wrong. The press conference was held in a hotel ballroom. Cameras everywhere. Journalists packed in. Lights blazing. Emeka sat in the front row, smiling. Kola stood in the back, arms crossed, confident. I walked to the podium. The room went silent. Thank you all for coming, I began. I called this conference to make an important announcement. Emeka nodded approvingly. But it's not the announcement you were expecting. His smile faltered. I signaled to Deo. The screens behind me lit up. Bank statements, emails, call logs, the contract with a hidden clause. And then the audio. Kola's voice. Emeka wants Sei out. Amina's voice. They said they will ruin my family if I fail. Emeka's voice, recovered from an old bugged meeting. He's too soft, too idealistic. If he won't bend, we'll break him. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Journalists shouted questions. Emeka stood, face red, hands shaking. This is a lie. Sei, what are you doing? I'm exposing the truth, I said calmly. You try to drug me, to manipulate me, to steal everything I built, and you used people I cared about to do it. Security moved in. Police officers entered from the side doors. Kola tried to run. He didn't make it far. Emeka stood frozen, staring at me. I made you, he said quietly. I gave you everything. No, I replied. You gave me nothing. I built this, and you try to take it. He was led away in handcuffs, and I stood there, watching, feeling nothing but emptiness. Because winning doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it just feels like survival, Amina's choice, facing consequences. Amina turned herself in that same day. She agreed to testify, to cooperate fully, to face the consequences of what she'd done. I visited her once before the trial. She was in a holding cell, wearing plain clothes, no makeup, hair tied back. She looked young, scared, human. Do you hate me? She asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. I hate what you chose, I said finally. But I understand what fear can do. I understand what it's like to feel trapped. I loved you, she whispered. I know you don't believe me, but I did. I believe you, I said. But love isn't enough when you're too afraid to fight for it. She nodded, and I left. The trial, justice with mercy. The trial took months. Emeka was sentenced to 15 years. Kola got 12. Amina received a reduced sentence, 3 years with possibility of parole, because she cooperated and because the court recognized she'd been coerced. Her brother was placed in protective custody. Her mother received the medical care she needed. And I went back to work. But I was different now. I upgraded security. I restructured my board. I implemented new policies to protect vulnerable employees from exploitation. I stopped trusting so easily. But I also didn't stop trusting entirely. Because if you let fear turn you cold, the people who hurt you win twice. 6 months later, the glass. 6 months later, I was alone in my office. Late night, quiet city, just me and my thoughts. I poured myself a drink, held the glass up to the light, paused, and then I drank. Because I refused to let them take that from me too. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened the message. You exposed the wrong people. I stared at it for a long time. Then I smiled. I typed back. Then I'll expose the rest. I hit send, turned off my phone, and got back to work. Because the fight isn't over. It's never over. But I'm not afraid anymore. Before you go, I need you to do something for me. If you believe truth should always win, even when it costs you everything, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. Because stories like this need to be told. And voices like yours need to be heard. And here's my question for you. And I read every single comment, so I really want to know. What would you have done if you were in Amina's shoes? Would you have exposed the truth and risked your family's safety? Or would you have protected the people you loved? Even if it meant betraying someone who trusted you? There's no right answer. Only honest ones. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the hardest choices we face aren't between good and evil. They're between two kinds of pain. And sometimes, survival means choosing which pain you can live with. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, silence is not weakness. It is the sharpest weapon a man can carry. Until next time.